Good morning, all. We'll start our session. In the last class, we have studied the bandwidth utilization. So that too with respect to one particular terminology called as multiplexing. With respect to multiplexing, we have studied uh, the concepts. That is time division multiplexing as well as frequency division multiplexing, whether you are using analog signal or digital signal. The next concept in the bandwidth utilization is one more topic is there by the name called as spreading. What is the spreading? That's what we'll be just looking into this in this particular class. Okay, so first we'll see what is spreading and what are all the things that it will be having how many categories of spread spectrum and all those things. So according to the spread spectrum, we'll be combining signals from the different sources to fit into a larger bandwidth. The motivation is one and the same: utilization of the bandwidth. So wherever you will be finding a lesser amount of data rate or a lesser signal is generated, so you'll be combining it to fit in the best way for the bandwidth to be utilized. Okay, so that is the first thing, the main aim. And also it will be aiming at preventing the eavesdropping and jamming. What is this eavesdropping and jamming? Eavesdropping is nothing but there may be some other particular third party where the in the network it is connected with multiple threads will be there, right? So threads in the sense multiple connections will be there, so anybody can access any particular line. The line should be secure enough, means you need to be protected enough. If you are not protected enough, then anybody can listen to whatever the data that you are sending, and they can modify it, they can just send it. That particular prevention need to be taken care, and it will be done with respect to your spread spectrum, because you are not sending the actual data, you are sending a separate spread signal with respect to the channel. So that's why eavesdropping will be uh, prevented, as well as jamming in the sense, suppose you are sending some particular data, I'll be saying that that network is always busy. I'll not allow you to send any particular packets to the or any particular data to the receiver to whom you are targeted to. So if that is the case, you will be also burdened and you will be just losing your heart. That means you don't converse once again. So that is one thing. So that particular part is also condensed with respect to your spread spectrum. That is the main aim of this. And one more thing, to achieve these goals, spread spectrum techniques add redundancy. What do you mean by redundancy? See, I'll not send the data as it is. I'll add some particular unwanted things and I'll just send it. So the even if particular third party is um, able to download the signal, he'll be not coming to know which one is the actual signal, which one is a redundant one. That is, which one is unwanted, which one is wanted. He'll be just confused with respect to it. So that's how it will be secured enough. Because you're talking about the channel need to be secured, because the channel will be utilized by n number of nodes or n number of systems or n number of users. So it is not restricted to only one user. Many users will be using that. So that's why the security of that particular how to make that particular channel a secured one is a very challenging task that will be done by a spread spectrum. That's what they are saying it. So with respect to this, two different classifications has been made. One is called as frequency hopping spread spectrum. Another one is called as direct sequence spread spectrum. So two different yeah, we'll just continue. So two different classifications has been made with respect to a spread spectrum. So one is called as frequency hopping spread spectrum. Another one is called as direct sequence spread spectrum. So two different terminologies, we'll be just seeing it. One by one, we'll just check it out. First, we'll see what is spread spectrum, how it is achieved. Okay, spread spectrum, the name itself suggests that whatever the signal that you are transmitting, I'm just adding some bits, means it will be broaden enough. Whatever the bandwidth that you are having at the original input signal, that will be broadened with respect to the channel that it is moving. So with respect to that, that particular bandwidth is called as BSS. Understanding it? So how it will be done? Just check it. So this is our original signal. So where we have a very narrow bandwidth, very small. That one, I'm just utilizing it in the entire particular channel. How to do it? For that, one process will be just addressing it. It may be frequency hopping spread spectrum, or else it may be with respect to your direct sequence spread spectrum. Any one process will be just using that. Using this process, will be just generating a spread signal. This spread signal is nothing but you are changing the you're broadening the signal itself. You're not narrowing it, you're broadening it. That means you're utilizing the complete channel to the extent. So that is what it will be meaning. So we'll just come back to the previous slide because a lot of other points also there. So all these points are very important with respect to spread spectrum. So all signals are spread to occupy the same bandwidth. That means whichever the signal that you are transmitting, each signal will be having the equal bandwidth. So it may be channel 1, maybe transmitting one particular data that will be having one particular type of bandwidth. Similarly, it goes on. So equal type of bandwidth will be utilized with respect to a spread spectrum. Next one is signals are spread with different codes so that they can be separated at the receivers. Why coding is necessary? So it's a very simple example or replica of what we studied in the previous class. That is with respect to time division multiplexing synchronization part with respect to the frames we were talking about. With respect to bits, it is automatically done by using interleaving. There is no problem at all. But with respect to the frames, we added a single bit, 1 or 0, followed by, it's a alternative one. First bit, first frame, it will be attached with 1. The next frame will be attached with 0. It will be goes on, right? So why it is necessary? Because to at the receiver, when it arrives at the receiver, at that time, it need to be arranged in a proper manner. So for that particular arrangement, we need to send some particular bits, extra bit need to be sent. Similarly, here, we're not sending any bits, we are sending some codes. It's a coding language. So you may say 100, it will be depending on that, one type of frequency signal will be generated. If you say 1001, that may be one more particular signal. So it purely depends. So that particular code will be easy for the receiver to understand which is the first one, which is the last one that has been transmitted. Understanding it? So for that reason, you need to have different coding part to be attached with respect to the signal. So that's why it will be spread enough. So this is the redundancy that we are doing it over here. Next one is signals can be spread in the frequency domain or in the time domain. So this is once again with respect to the previously learned terminology called as multiplexing. In the multiplexing also we had two different terminologies, that is frequency domain as well as time domain. In the similar sense, here also with respect to a spread spectrum, two particular terminologies are there, frequency domain and time domain. The best example that you are having, or the process, spread spectrum process that you are having with respect to frequency domain is frequency hop spread spectrum. With respect to time domain, it will be nothing but direct sequence spread spectrum. So this is nothing but here with respect to your spread spectrum, what it is. So this diagram completely tells you how the process goes on. So added bits, if you redundant some bits means it will be broaden enough. So this will be nothing but complete utilization of this particular signal. So that's what it says. Next one is. Yeah. We'll just check one by one with respect to how this particular frequency hopping spread spectrum will be working. So we will be just giving the, and one more thing, just I'll just remind you, this multiplexing as well as spread spectrum is based on the transmission medium that we are using it. The transmission channel or transmission medium is there, right? That one we are targeting to. We are not targeting to the system, end system. So end system will give you the signal. That one we have studied in the previous module itself, how to convert that. So from that particular signal, how best we can utilize the transmission medium, that's what we are just studying it in this particular bandwidth utilization techniques. Understanding it? So this is also one of the technique. So here we require a modulator. Modulator is nothing but it will be changing the signal strength, either with respect to your amplitude, or if you are using analog signals, since it's a frequency, it is nothing but analog signals will be the input. Based on that, I'm telling you, it may be with respect to amplitude or phase or frequency, anything. But here, for our particular understanding, we are just going with frequency only. So with respect to this, what it will be done is, this is what the block that we need to understand. We need to have a code generator, that is pseudo random code generator. The code generator is based on your number of bits. Suppose you have number of bits given as 3, then your code generator will be having the patterns like this. This will be randomly generated. So whichever the first selection, the least, the most significant bit is that will be the first particular code that it will be taken into consideration. With respect to this, there will be a frequency given with respect to the lowest and the highest. With respect to that, it will be just attaching the frequency. Once this is done, so the next particular bit, like that, the selection based on that, you will be selecting the frequency. Once it reaches to the frequency synthesizer, the frequency synthesizer will be modulating the signal, and that signal along with the original signal will be modulated, and it will be just giving you a one more modulated signal, that is nothing but your frequency hop spread spectrum signal. So that will be nothing but that it is what happening. So how this bit will be generated? It is a pseudo random bit. So if you give 3, it may be first bit maybe 000. With respect to 000, 200 kilohertz means that will be taken into consideration. Next, if it is going in 111 means, then 900 kilohertz will be taken into consideration. In that particular manner, you'll be just choosing the patterns. So this is randomly generated. We won't be generating it. We are just giving some particular bits. How many bits that you require it based on that. 8 different patterns will be had there. With respect to 8 different patterns, you need to give one more particular input, that is what is the frequency level, input frequency, lowest frequency level, highest frequency level. And between that, how much should be the distance or the bifurcation need to be done. Whether it is bifurcated with respect to 100 kilohertz, you need to just bifurcate it. So or 200, depending on that, you need to just give it that particular pattern. So if you give that, then the rest of it will be done with respect to your frequency synthesizer. So this is how your frequency hopping spread spectrum will be taken into consideration. This is with respect to your first hop. First hop means first duration of the 8-bit, complete 8-bit generation, how it is generated. Depending on that, the signals will be just scattered. During the second cycle, the same particular pattern will be taken care. Like this, it continues until and unless all the data will be transmitted to the transmission medium. Understand it? So next one is bandwidth sharing. That's what we were talking about. So it's a comparison. This slide entirely, it will be giving you a comparison between your FDM, that is frequency domain multiplexing, frequency division multiplexing, and frequency hop spread spectrum. So here, with respect to your particular frequency division multiplexing, you are having at the same particular point of time, one particular participant will be given only one bench. That bench, using that particular thing, only he need to just transmit it or give the answer for it. So the one more analogy I'll just give it. So just to understand this particular FDM and FHSS. So think that you are attending an internals where the internals is conducted inside the college or inside one particular closed area. So in that, you will be allotted a bench number, and using that particular bench number only, you need to go and sit over there. And the duration of the time is 3 hours for everybody. So 4 participants are there means for all 300, 3 hours means 3 hours time will be given for all of you. Fine. So this is what the scenario is. With respect to this, the whole particular first bench, using the first bench only, this particular fellow, that is F1, will be conducting the or writing the exam. F2 will be using that particular bench 2, bench 3, bench 4. So totally it will be given for them. So you will be not taking any access to any other particular terminology. Whereas with respect to FHSS, think about your lab exams. Your lab exams, if it is involving 2 different components, suppose you need to do the software component as well as the hardware component, as you have with respect to one more particular lab session is there, right? So that is microcontroller lab. So in that microcontroller lab, 2 particular sets of programs you need to work out. One is the using the hardware kit, another one is using the software program itself, right? So with respect to this, if we have a small, say for example, out of 10 students, we can just accommodate 2 or 3 kits for one particular experiment months. Only 3 particular fellows can be allotted. Remaining all should be taken care with respect to one more particular thing. I cannot say you sit idle for such particular time and then you utilize it. No, it is not possible. So this is the difference between your FHSS and FDM. At least now you got an idea. See here, this particular yellow colored block is nothing but for the first experiment, first hardware program part. Similarly, if he finished that particular task with respect to this particular time interval, the next task is he will be given with one more particular thing that is called a software. If he cannot do it properly with respect to hardware, one more chance will be given. So like this, it will be just taking care. Or how many tasks you will be given, depending on that, it will be just addressing it. Understanding it. The idea here is utilizing the complete 3 hours time inside the lab exercise as well as the normal exam. So with respect to that, your FDM and FHS works. This is with respect to the same time duration. Whereas if we just move on to the next one that is called as direct sequence spread spectrum, here we won't be having any particular frequency over here. This is based on your digital signal that you are or sequence that you are giving it. Depending on that sequence, one signal, digital signal will be generated. Based on that particular thing, you will be modulating it. That's it. So that will be done with respect to your chips generator. What is this chip generator will be doing? We'll just understand it better if we just try to analyze this particular signal graph. Okay, original signal, it will be having the sequence given as 101. This is what the data that I'm just transmitting it. One for that highest bit. That is, I'm just going with which particular thing. So which is this line coding technique that I'm using it. You should not forget this because it comes with respect to everywhere, wherever you are dealing with the generation of the or converting from your data to a signal part. So digital signals, if you are converting it, see here. So it is not with respect to the reference pointer, that is 0 level is not taken into consideration, whereas highest amplitude to the lowest amplitude. So this is with respect to your polar. Non-return to 0 because nowhere in between it is returning to 0. Non-return to 0 with respect to that L, that is level. So this is how you need to understand this. So we are taking this particular polar with respect to this polar non-return to 0 level. We are just conducting the line coding or converting your digital data to digital signal. This is your original signal. Next, I'll generate a one particular spreading code. This is randomly generated code. This is of no particular convention is given for this. So it should be of 10000 itself. No, it is not necessary. This spreading code should be understood by the receiver also. If you are if you are having that particular spreading code with respect to shared with respect to sender as well as receiver, then it will be easy for us to encode as well as decode. That is modulate as well as demodulate. Understanding it. So this particular coding code, whatever you are giving it, it is as good as you are giving a key. If you want to enter to your house, you will be having a key, right? So with respect to that key only, you need to enter to that particular into your house. Main door will be there. Using that main door, you'll be just entering it. So you may be having n number of such particular keys. With respect to the family members, if you share n number of keys, all the fellows can enter anytime. Yes or no? The same thing will be happening with respect to your spreading code. This code should be given with spreading code. Yeah, we'll just continue. So this is with respect to your spreading code. So now with respect to your DSSS, what it will be doing is using the spreading code, whatever the spreading code is that, the same code will be retained if the 1 bit is transmitted. If 0 bit is transmitted, means whatever the code that you are generating it, that will be flipped. Flipped in the sense, if it is going from 90° to, if the phase shift is from 90° to 180° or 270°, if it is moving, means it will be changing its phase. So it will move from 270 to 90. That's how it will be changed. So this changes sequence will be understood by your particular receiver once he receives this particular spreading signal, and the spreading code is there, means he can easily decode what the signal was, what the original signal was. So that's why it should be very much important to share this particular spreading code to the receiver also. So this is purely depending. So it is not necessary that whatever the signal that we have with respect to this particular example, you need to follow the same thing. You can have your own particular terminology. What the thing that we are using here is, so your one bit, it's a polar one. And with respect to that, it's a linear, sorry, non-return to zero with respect to level. So that's what the technique that we are using to generate it. So that technique, if you know it, that's more than enough. If you are using any other technique like unipolar also can be used. With respect to unipolar, you need to just say it. If with respect to unipolar, if you want to convert this particular thing, means you'll be having the highest amplitude with respect to your one, wherever the bit one is transmitted. Wherever bit zero is transmitted, it will be doing nothing. That means no signal. Wherever one is there, it will be transmitting the signal. Wherever zero is there, it will be not transmitting. So in that particular fashion, it will be just going on. And the spreading code will also be changed. So this is with respect to your polar, non-return to zero. That's how they have generated this. So this generation, this code, spreading code will be generated by your chip generator. Understanding it? So this one, you need to just keep it in your mind. So that's all with respect to your bandwidth utilization. If you have any doubt, you can just ask me a question, or else we'll quickly move on to the next topic. Any doubt? Any doubt with respect to this? If you have any doubt, you can just send it in chat. I'll just pause the screen for time being. Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we'll just continue. We're just moving to the next topic. So we have finished with respect to your bandwidth utilization completely. So both spread spectrum as well as with respect to one more technique called as multiplexing. Multiplexing is nothing but combining many signals to a single signal and you're transmitting it. Spread spectrum is combining all the signals, or the individual signal will be spread enough so that your narrow bandwidth will be uh, attached with a very wide bandwidth. So how it is done? By adding redundancy bits. So it is added with respect to the frequency synthesizer with respect to your frequency hop spread spectrum, or else using a code generator or chip generator with respect to D followed by triple S. So this is what we have just studied. It. We are just moving to the next topic. Next topic is switching. What is the switching? Why we require it? Okay, you are transmitting a particular packet. There may be n number of particular fellows available in a network. So suppose think that four particular persons are available in the network. I'll just try to annotate and just give you a scenario. Try to understand that. So this is A, this is B, this is channel C or C person, this is D. Okay, so here E followed by F followed by E followed by H. So 8 persons are there. So who are using this particular transmission medium? So this is our transmission. With respect to this, now if I want to transmit a data from this A to E or A to F, because all these particular channels are sharing a common transmission medium itself. So now how to check which one will be connected to which one? So all will be connected at the beginning, but I need to give the connectivity only to which it has been asked to, not with respect to all. I should not transmit the data to from A, all should be transmitted, means then all connection should be transmitted, all connection should be given. So otherwise, if it is transmitted to only one person, then we need to go with this particular concept called as switching. This is where switching comes into picture. Understood? Why switching is required? See here. For each particular connection, you require one particular switch. So this switch will be having one incoming packet and one outgoing. So how many connections are there? Depending on that, one incoming, one outgoing will be there. So minimum, it will be having one incoming, one outgoing. So that's what it will be saying with respect to your switches. So with respect to your switch networks, there are a lot of different switch networks that is existing. One is called, it has been categorized into three parts. One is called as circuit switch networks, Another one is packet switch networks. The last one is message switch networks. So we'll not talk about message switch network with respect to our particular terminology. We'll just wind up with respect to your packet switch. What is circuit switched? What is packet switch? I'll just give you a brief idea about this. Circuit switched is nothing but which I'll be just communicating. So I'll be having a dedicated channel from your sender to the receiver. First, I need to fix which is a sender, which is a receiver. Suppose I'll just give you a rough or analogy. So you want to travel to the college from your home. If you come by college bus, always it will be following the same route. There is no change in it. That is nothing but your circuit switch networks. So if you use the public transport, it will be a common particular route that will be traveled. Occasionally it may change, but it will not change regularly. But if you come by your own vehicle, if the traffic is more at Amir Ahmad Circle, or else if the traffic is more at the Shivmurti Circle, then you can skip that. You can just take a roundabout U-turn, or you can just go in a gully and you can just you can reach your particular destination. So that is nothing but your packet switch. So your circuit switch dedicated route will be there. Packet switch, no such dedicated route. Whichever the route that you want, whichever the fastest one that you will be having it, it can just come with that particular route. And here, all the particular persons, that means all the data, whatever you want to transmit, that each one should follow the same particular route. There is no change in it. So whoever gets into the bus, so they need to come with the same route. There is no change in it. But if you use your particular own vehicle, that is two-wheeler or four-wheeler or any particular vehicle, public instead of public transport, if you use private transport at that particular point of time, each individual may choose their own route. It is not necessary that if a person want to come to the college from Jail Circle or Jail Road, he'll be just taking the route to the Shivmurti Circle, and from the Shivmurti Circle, take a left and just come to the that just one particular road is there. So it will be just coming. If he thinks or she thinks that if that route is busy due to the traffic, then they may choose some other particular route. It is not necessary that that particular the person who's at Jail Circle need to take the route to Lakshmi Takis, and then they need to come to the Ravindra Nagara, then they need to come to the college. They can take any particular route. So that particular choice is available with respect to your packet switching. Circuit switching, no such choice. You need to go with the same particular. So this is a brief introduction about your circuit switching and packet switching. In the packet switching, once again, datagram and virtual circuit networks will come into picture. We'll just see it one by one later. Okay, so we'll just move on to the next slide quickly. I think this concept you all got it. I think so, right? Is there any doubt? With respect to switching as well as I'll just quickly run through these particular slides. If you don't have any doubt, I'll just quickly run through these slides. If you have, then we can discuss on that. No doubt? Shall I continue? Is it audible to all of you? Is it audible? Yes. See, this is what we require. Why I asked you all these things, because I was waiting for the answer. So until and unless I won't get the answer, I cannot continue. That is what the concept that we are seeing it with respect to your circuit switched networks. So I asked you a question, is it audible? Then the data gets transmitted through a transmission medium. So whichever the internet or network provider that you are using, through that channel, it will be just transmitted. Then it will be reaching at your end. Once you say that yes sir, that is the acknowledgement is received, then I can proceed. Otherwise I need to stop over here there. So that is nothing but what we require to know about the three phases that is required to set up a connection with respect to your circuit switched networks. I'm the source, you are the destination, you all guys are destination. So if I receive one yes from you, I think that whatever I'm just sending the message, it is received at the other end. So this particular thing is called as three phases. In the three phases, what is happening? First, I'll just try to send a data asking hello, or a simple thing what you can analyze, or what you can just think of an example is a mobile phone, or a communication using a telephone, any telephone, normal telephone, or a mobile phone. If you are just using that, if you pick up a particular mobile phone, if you just start dialing it, it will be giving you a particular dialing ringtone. That is nothing but you're able to connect to that particular network. If that person is busy, you'll be getting a busy tone, otherwise you'll be getting a ringing tone. Once the ringing tone is available at that particular point of time, still you are waiting for that particular fellow to connect. Once the other fellow gets connected to your particular call, then you will be transmitting hello, and that person will also transmitting hello. You'll not converse the actual message, you'll just transmit one simple message saying that hello. The other side, if the person is also able to understand what you have communicated, he or she will also be giving you the same particular message saying hello. Then you can start your transferring of the data. Before disconnecting, you need to cut the call. You'll be saying I'll be cutting the call, so I'll just cut the call. So this step are nothing but the three phases that is getting involved with respect to your circuit switch networks. That's what the first thing that we need to just know it. So here setup phase, and the second one is data transfer. The third phase is nothing but your connection termination, or tear phase will say it. Tear down phase will say it. Tear down is nothing but we are cutting that particular call. Okay, so that's what we'll be having it with respect to this particular three phases. Then how efficiency can be calculated with respect to your circuit switching, because we are using the dedicated link. So we need to think about it. What is the delay that we need to have it? Until and unless that particular person need to say hello, you need to wait. Once he acknowledges saying that hello, then only you can transfer. So till that one, you need to just be in the call itself. So that is the delay, how much it will be required. That is what we'll be just checking out. And how this particular circuit switching, in which particular technology we are using it in the real time. In the telephone networks, they are given it. So we'll just analyze it in the next class. Okay, so we'll just wind up this particular class now. So we'll just take up the rest of the things in the next class. Thank you very much for your patience listening.